AWS user group session. Today, Ashley and I, who work together at Cloudreach, multi-cloud services company, we will share with you our journey in the cloud industry. We are willing to keep this session mostly as a conversation, sharing our experiences and also giving some tips to the people who are willing to join this industry or who have an interest in the cloud. I'm Elvia. I'm Italian, as you may have guessed by my accent, but I'm based in Berlin. I don't have any tech background, so I started my career in this field with no prior experiences. Actually, I studied foreign languages, I studied translation, and I worked for almost 10 years as a copywriter and a marketing manager. And during my last job experience, I was focusing more on SEO in the marketing field, so I had the chance to get to know what is going on behind the scenes. So what is happening on a website, what happened when we look at the screen and we see what we see on the website. And that was really interesting for me. So I decided that I wanted to know more. I started to do some self-studies. At my previous job, I had to work with some HTML. So I studied some CSS as well. And yeah, the more I studied, the more I was interested in this field, in the tech field. And yeah, so the pandemic came for me as for everyone else. And since I was working in the travel industry, I unfortunately was among those people who lost their job. So in this lucky situation, I decided to take this as an opportunity. So I decided to enroll in a web development bootcamp, and so give a clear path to my studies. And I did this intensive bootcamp in JavaScript, and I worked on a couple of projects in team with other people. And so I thought that maybe it was the time to give it a try. So I started to apply to tech jobs. And yeah, it has been easy at all. Unfortunately, during this time, companies were not willing to hire people with no prior knowledge, with no prior background. So it was very tough, even to get a first interview. At the same time, I tried also to create a network around myself, to feel connected to other people in the tech community. Because after the bootcamp, I felt really somehow lost and alone. And I get in touch with Women Tech Makers community in Berlin, and I started to attend their meetups. And in one of their meetups, the speaker presented us the basics of cloud and the benefits of transitioning to cloud. And that was like, a new idea for me coming into my mind as a field that I didn't consider that could be very interesting to look into. So I started to do some researches, and I started to have a look at AWS and their services. And at the same time, I found out through a referral from a person working at Cloudreach that Cloudreach, in cooperation, in partnership with AWS, was launching a talent academy for people either in the tech industry or with no tech background, but with a strong interest in cloud, to start a career in this field. And this is how my journey started, with this Talent Academy program at Cloudreach, where I also met Ashley, who is actually one of my colleagues. So I will hand over to him to introduce himself.
Thanks, Elvia. So I'm Ashley, and I'm based in London. I have a background in cybersecurity, so I studied digital forensics and security. Yeah. And I was very struggling to get into the field of security. It's very, very difficult, and I found it very challenging. It was getting to the point where COVID started happening as well. And just before that, I'd secured a job as like a Java developer, which is not something that I had thought I would have been doing, but it was a job, and keep my mind busy and everything, and learn new skills. And I do like learning new languages and scripting and programming and stuff like that. But unfortunately, because of COVID, much like Elvia, I got let go because of there being no clients, and they didn't want to. They didn't have the funds to train up anymore. So I went back to job hunting, and after applying, getting all the rejections and everything, I had a recommendation for joining this talent academy with Cloudreach from my brother, who worked in sales. So he recommended that I start learning more about AWS through a cloud guru. So I started going through a course just to learn how AWS worked and what it could do. As through my education, I'd always been taught very basically about the cloud, but apart from scaling up, scaling out, I didn't really know what other features they offered and how it worked. And it's not something that I'd really thought about, to be honest, as a career. But then comes along the Talent Academy with Cloudreach, which has been amazing for me, and the training that we went through for 3 months has taught me so much. It was very structured, having theory in the mornings, and then actually having the time to do practical work as well, and deploying what you had learned, which is something that doing myself is before Cloudreach was very difficult, because you have the free tier account, and I was always a bit scared. Oh, should I do this? Should I do that? It might cost me thousands, and it was great to have like a dedicated a lab account, and to be able to just go wild and do everything. So we learned Terraform, which is infrastructure as code, and again, that really helped me learn, because it taught me how many different services there are in AWS and how they all link together, especially first creating our VPCs and what you needed and how to route everything together, which was very interesting. How did you find the training, Elvia?
Yeah, so those 3 months were very interesting, but at the same time very intense. We had a very a steep learning curve, And for me, it was everything new, because I was completely new to the cloud, and new to AWS. And something that really helped me a lot was combining the theory with hands-on projects. Learning what an EC2 instance is, and at the same time applying what I learned with Terraform, deploying an instance and hosting a website on the instance I deployed. So having this hands-on experience was really important for me. And also having the senior cloud developers sharing their knowledge and experience with us was super important, and having the feeling that I was not alone in my learning path, because every time I had a question, there was someone ready and willing to answer. Not only senior people, but also people in the same program like you, Ashley. You helped me a lot with your knowledge, with your background and your answers. I'd say that it has been a fun period, but also 3 months where I learned a lot. And during these 3 months, I was able to secure my cloud practitioner certification. And after that, new challenges came because we finished the training, and I wasn't assigned to a project, so I had to spend some weeks on the bench, as we say, and there I had to face different challenges. One of them was for sure planning my time, because I went from having a very tight schedule, a whole day of meetings, to nothing. I had to keep myself motivated, keep studying, keep working on projects to have hands-on experience, and at the same time keep networking with other people in the company. And at the end of this period, I was able to get my solution architect associate certification, and this gave me a lot of strength, because I think it's the basic certification that developers need if they want to work with AWS services. And so that has been very important, an important goal to reach for me. What about you, Ashley?
Yeah, so again, it's very much the same story as you. So I got my cloud practitioner during the 3 months that we'd been training. And then after the training finished, while I was waiting for a client engagement, continuing to study and then getting the solutions architect associate, and now working towards others such as the developer and other little things like Terraform certifications as well, which will be very much helpful for us. I'd like to reiterate, it's very, very helpful having all of these senior architects and senior CSDs and CSDs in Cloudreach, having to be able to reach out to them, and especially having 19 other people in our Talent Academy program that we could ask any questions, and everyone came from different backgrounds, and we were all in the kind of the same level, so we all helped each other move along, and we are all doing amazingly right now. I think going through the training, we had our a challenge week, so we had worked for 2 weeks in a like a project environment. So we worked with agile methodologies and had our stand-ups every morning and split down into sprints. It was very interesting for me learning throughout my education about working that way, and I'd never actually done it. So being able to collaborate as a team and work together to get to this end goal was very fun for me, and being able to support each other, delegate tasks, saying, "Oh yes, I know that, I can do that." And me and Elvia were actually in the same group, so we definitely helped each other get to the end of that. So what advice do you think you would give to people that are interested within this AWS industry?
Yeah, good question. I think the first tip I can give is, if you're interested in the cloud, start maybe by taking the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, because it actually gives you a basic understanding and a general idea of the AWS services and of what cloud is and what are actually the benefits of transitioning to cloud. And if you're really willing to start a career in this field, it's very important to create a network around yourself. So to start being part of the community, because meeting people and talking, sharing, you can get new ideas, you can get inspiration, you can also know about new job opportunities, which is always nice to know about it. And the last tip is, for sure, keep studying. I know it's hard, especially when you're looking for a job and you're studying alone, so you're self-studying, but it's very important to keep update with all the new technologies that they're coming on every day, and keep practicing, because for me this helped me to be motivated and to keep trying. And it's difficult, but you can get lucky and you can have your chance. So just keep being motivated and keep be up to date and study a lot. I don't know, what are your tips, Ashley? What would you recommend?
I think I'll just add on to yours that if you're very proactive with your learning and you don't want to just study to pass an exam, you want to study to gain the knowledge and be able to apply that in the real world. So if you have little side projects that you could work on to kind of reinforce that learning while you go along the path of getting certified is amazing, and I think will very much help you. And touching on Elvia's note as well about networking, if you have the chance to go to any of the AWS events like the summit that was recently in London, then totally go forward for it, because creating that network and getting to know people within the industry and the ecosystem of AWS is so much more important for you, and you'll be able to learn all these stories of how they've done things, and all the training people that will be there as well. You can attend free training sessions and benefit from that. So I hope you've all enjoyed our stories, and I hope they inspire you or you've learned something. But we'll be around for any more questions if you have any. But thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm joined on the stream this evening by Elvia and Ashley, who you should now all be able to see. Thanks for putting that talk together. It's really interesting to hear your journey. I guess got into cloud from a sort of having been a technologist working with servers and sort of doing things in what used to exist before the cloud, so it was sort of natural progression for me. But it seems like, I guess you're starting from, not from scratch necessarily, but from a sort of an earlier kind of place. And I wonder, Elvia, how did it feel, I guess, to go from something that was kind of, I guess, technical but not necessarily cloud oriented, and make that leap? Like, was it difficult to decide to do that? What were the things that made it easier for you?
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us today. And yeah, for me, it was difficult, but I think now, if I look back to when my journey started, I'm 100% sure that it was the right way to go. And for me, the main difficulty was that I didn't have any technical background at all. But once I started to study and to look into AWS services, and with practice, of course, everything started to make sense for me. So if there is anyone now that is thinking to start having a look at AWS service and having a career in the cloud, I highly recommend that, for sure.
Thanks, Elvia. And actually, you had a background in cybersecurity, so presumably there was some overlap in what you've learned in AWS and what you learned on your degree, I guess. Like, how did that help?
I think it helped quite a lot. Now looking back, definitely scripting knowledge, and I'm not really a programmer of the sort, but I've learned I think Python about four or five times, to be honest. I keep forgetting. But it's put me in that frame of mind of when I'm going to AWS and looking to develop on the platform.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Just as a message to those of you in the chat, if you have questions of your own for Elvia and Ashley, do drop them in there. I will do my best to get them into the conversation. I can see from the chat that's going on there are a few people who are also kind of early on in their journey, and sort of this might be kind of relevant for you. So do take the opportunity to ask those questions. Elvia, you mentioned that you heard a speaker talking about this, that you sort of found the cloud opportunity through listening to a speaker, and you said that they told you some benefits of getting into a cloud career. I'm wondering what they sold you, and have those things turned out to be accurate now that you're actually made that jump?
Yeah, definitely pretty accurate. The flexibility and the cost saving and that you have when transitioning to cloud, and or when you are thinking to start a company and with a very low budget, it's something that you cannot have in a traditional environment. So I have to say that they sold that very well. And yeah.
And you found that to be true when you're now that you're actually working in the industry?
Yeah, definitely.
Great stuff. And what about you, Ashley? You said your brother kind of suggested this, and that your brother's in sales. So how did he sell this to you? And was it the case that he got a kickback for inviting you to join Cloudreach?
No, it wasn't that. It was all intentional and probably love. But yeah, it was. To be honest, he'd mentioned it in the past as well, so it wasn't the first time. But then it was the right time because he had come across and found this talent academy and thought, "Oh yeah, this would be really great for me." And yeah, it has turned out that way. But I'd always heard about the cloud, like I mentioned in my talk as well, and it was always this thing we knew about the scaling and like high availability of it, but I never really understood it at technological perspective kind of thing. So yeah, it was shout out to my brother who got me here. But
is he watching tonight? Has he joined the stream? I know.
Maybe I told him and sent him a link, so maybe.
If you're watching, Ashley's brother, good job, well done, good sales job. What was the most difficult thing about your learning journey so far? Maybe Ashley, you start with that.
I think managing my time was really the biggest thing, and trying to divide up the theory from the practical. So the talent academy was very good for this. So we had like a set time in the morning, say 9 to 12, learning the theory behind a service, and then having the time for ourselves to practice it and understand it. It gave me the structure that I needed to go forward and learn with it.
Mm-hmm. So it was the academy, were the mornings, were they taught? Did you have a sort of classroom sort of set up online, I suppose, rather than in person, or were you sort of left to your own devices with an Amazon account and kind of left to fend for yourself?
Yeah, so it was so the mornings were colleagues giving speeches and our trainer and teach us about the service and how it's used and what it's used for, and how then we can use it as well. And then we was given tasks, or we was able to play around on a lab account to get a better understanding of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Elvia, what did you find the most difficult about making this journey?
For me, I have to say that the greatest difficulty maybe is now that I'm actually on a customer project. So applying what I've learned in real life scenarios and very complex structure, having to do multiple accounts and federated access. So you get or new services, AWS services as well. So I'm getting the chance to get into complex stuff, and I think that this is challenging. So applying what I've learned, but this is also continue to learn for me, because every time I have to try something new, I can learn a lot. So yeah, it's difficult, but it's a good exercise for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's nothing quite like an actual client engagement where they're paying you to know the thing to really kind of force you to get to grips with it and really kind of understand it. It's I've often found that's a great way of learning something pretty quickly. So we do have a couple of questions from the chat. There's a question from TJ, who is currently undergoing a master's degree program in data science and would like to develop technical capability in cloud computing. Good job. TJ asks, how can I get hands-on projects that can aid my learning experience? Do either of you have an answer for that?
First of all, you can just check on AWS. They have a lot of hands-on lab that you can practice on, which are very useful. And just try to develop them, not using the console, because most of the time they are designed for you to use the console. Just try to develop the solution programmatically, and this will help you a lot. It's a good starting point, I think.
Great, thanks, Elvia. Anything to add to that, Ashley?
No, what Elvia said is, I think, spot on. There's a lot of AWS like workspaces out there, and guides and little tasks that you can do. I know we recently did one with the Kubernetes service, EKS, which was really useful. But yeah, there's lots out there, and I'm sure if you hit us up on LinkedIn, we can send some links over as well.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Yeah, and I guess I could add, TJ, if you have the opportunity to join an AWS Game Day, which are run by the training and certification team at Amazon, they have a set of kind of hands-on scenarios that you kind of work through over some number of like 2 or 3 hours. You mentioned data science. There might actually be a data science / big data game day. I'm not sure. I most recently did the security one. It was really good sort of way of getting hands on with quite a lot of stuff. It's fun as well. They tend to sort of weave a story around it and make it kind of interesting. So keep an eye out for those. I think those teams tend to promote those things. There is a website for Amazon Game Days or AWS Game Days, and I've seen people on LinkedIn mention those, some Amazon people. So keep an eye out for that. that. United Shady asks, how were you able to go deep into services where you set tasks and projects to build with those services? Ashley, let's start with you today.
Yeah, so it was basically the same thing. So we had AWS trainers who were giving us tasks and being able to do that. And I feel Terraform as well was really helpful in understanding a service and how it interconnected with other services as well. If you're just using the AWS console and you're launching I don't know what to say, like an EC2 or something, or like a VPC. Sometimes you don't understand how it all connects with like root tables and subnets and stuff like that. And Terraform really helps me kind of grasp the ladder going up kind of thing.
Yeah, I found that with Terraform as well. The kind of the way that Terraform is documented is almost makes it easier to learn everything else. I think that the API documentation for AWS is not quite as extensive. So yeah, Terraform documentation, if you're using Terraform, great way of learning AWS. Anything to add to that, Elvia?
Not really. But yeah, as Ashley said, trying to develop things programmatically, even either with Terraform or using CloudFormation as well, it's very useful. So yeah,
great.
I agree with Ashley.
Excellent. You're obviously on the same page in quite a lot of these things. They've obviously trained you really well. First time chatter today, Gavin Cornwell asks the last question that I'm going to ask from the audience, which is which service have you enjoyed using the most or has been the most useful, Elvia?
I'm not sure how to answer. I use a lot EC2 instances, so the virtual servers. But I really don't have an answer. Everything is kind of interconnected, so some services have dependencies, and yeah, I don't know which one is my preference.
Cool. Ashley, do you have a favourite one that you've enjoyed using the most?
It's quite a difficult question. It's favorite, possibly Lambda at the moment. I'm not very good at it, but it's a very cool service to use, and we're currently getting our developer associate as well certification, so we're going to have the chance to use it a lot more.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, Lambda is it's extremely powerful, and it's kind of used as glue in all sorts of other AWS places. So yeah, learning Lambda is definitely worth doing. And our next speaker, Mark, is going to be talking at length about serverless technologies, including Lambda. So that's a great segue for us to say thanks for joining, Elvia and Ashley. It's been great to hear about your journey. I hope maybe you'll come back in a year's time and share kind of where you've got to as a result of using this stuff in the real world with that actual paying customers, because I think the ongoing journey is interesting. So hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah, we'll be pleased. Thanks.
Great, thanks very much. That's Elvia and Ashley.